Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm here to bring you another movie review, this time for Zootopia 2, the latest from Walt Disney Animation Studios, directed by Jared Bush, Byron Howard, and this of course sees the return of Ginnifer Goodwin as Judy Hopps and Jason Bateman as Nick Wilde, who are now teamed up in the Zootopia Police Department as they go undercover to try to figure out what's going on with a alleged reptile that's on the loose, played by Quan as Gary D. Snake, and it's off to the races after that. I don't want to get too much into it. I mean, it's a Disney movie, but I will say the first Zootopia from 9 years ago makes me feel so old saying that. I remember seeing that in theaters. I loved it at the time. Watched it since. I still really enjoy it. I think it's one of probably the strongest efforts in the Walt Disney canon, if I'm being entirely honest. And I think Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde are two of their strongest characters, and honestly at this point most iconic. So if there was going to be any movie that would get a sequel from Disney, Zootopia was actually the one I was looking forward to, because there's a lot of potential to play in the sandbox of a world that is Zootopia, all the different environments that they can tap into and kind of utilize and bring to life. There's so much potential there, and so like Inside Out 2 last year, which I thought was great, I thought that this could be the one, since they waited so much time between the first one and this, the same time between Inside Out and Inside Out 2, in fact. I thought that this might pan out to some kind of equal results. And I know a lot of people have been really enjoying this movie almost as much as the first, which is, a bit surprising to me. But I do think that this is a serviceable sequel at the very least, and I think where they take the characters of Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde, it definitely tracks. And I think once again Ginnifer Goodwin and Jason Bateman are great in these roles and continue their enduring partnership all the way into the 2020s. And so nothing can be said wrong about them. I think another vocal standout, of course, is Academy Award winner Quan as Gary the Snake. He really has just such the most innocent voice, and so suiting his voice to this character certainly endears the audience to him almost immediately, and I really like what they did with his character, and also the role that the reptiles play in Zootopia, because they're, surprisingly not there, and the movie gets into that and so much more. But I really, really am happy to see that after his Oscar win, I know he hasn't been getting the best roles, but I'm telling you, and I said this in my out-theater reaction, when I was at the theater, we struggled to even get in because we had our tickets, but it was like, do we have them checked in? We just went in the theater, but it was swarmed with kids. It's Thanksgiving weekend, so of course the kids are going to be off from school. It's a Friday. So yeah, but I'm telling you, I have not seen a theater this swamped in years. So I think on the basis of that alone, this is really great for someone like Quan. He needs a big success like this, because this is going to clear $1 billion. I'm not even concerned about that. And I'm glad to see him getting these opportunities to really profit off of that, and off of his talent for that matter, because he's just so lovely and just so great, as we've seen in Everything Ever All at Once and everything he's been in since. So really happy to see that for the guy. I also think Andy Samberg as Pa Bert Linksley is a really interesting addition to the cast of this movie, and I think he plays a very intriguing role in how this whole story develops. Definitely good to see Andy Samberg in anything, or hear him for that matter. Another major vocal standout I want to mention is Patrick Warburton is Mayor Brian Windancer, who's like this horse action star who becomes, a political candidate in this, probably similar to Schwarzenegger, how he is to California. But I thought that he was really, really funny. And of course, he delivers his lines in a way that only Patrick Warburton could do, because he has such an iconic voice at this point in time and has been a mainstay in animation for over 20 years. And so always a pleasure to hear him pop up in a movie as well, and I think he's utilized into the plot quite effectively. And so there's a lot of things going for this movie. You got the dynamic back between the two leads. You really get to flesh out this world. I think that's the biggest part of this movie that I think really works, especially when they go to Marsh Market. That's such an interesting and vibrant world. It's sort of like, you know, down in the bayou, New Orleans, Louisiana vibe, and I think that the way they build these extremely detailed worlds, it's just so wonderful to look at and keeps you entertained all the way throughout and dazzled in many ways. And I think the thing that really keeps us afloat along with that are the visual gags, which just come in plenty. There are some that had me absolutely cracking up, and some great movie references here and there. Some work, some don't, but when they hit, they really hit, especially one later on in the movie. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. That had me dying, the way they made references to that iconic horror movie, we'll say. And there's just so many things where it's like, if you blink, you'll miss it, and I appreciate that level of attention to detail, especially when there already is so much going on in the frame. It definitely feels like this was not just like passed over and run through a machine, as you know, sometimes it feels like Disney does that. There was a lot of attention and care put into the details of this script and this world. But when it comes down to the script, I got a lot of issues with it, because as funny as some of this is, because there are some amazing jokes in here, there's no doubt about that, the humor is a little bit overboard in this one. It definitely doesn't feel as fresh. It definitely pales in comparison. I mean, some of these jokes do not land, and they just fall a little flat on deaf ears, I would say. Not even that. I'm a hearing person, but what I'm saying is, they get a little bit cringy and a little lame to me in a lot of places. And there's like this conspiracy theorist character played by Forrest Feimster. It's Nibbles Maplestick. And I just thought the humor with her character was a little annoying. And so you get all these elements thrown into a story that follows a lot of beats and tropes that I think are kind of lazy and contrived. I mean, there are definitely some clever moments in the way they subvert them and how the story comes together. I definitely appreciate that. But it definitely feels nowhere near as fresh as the first one. However, I do think one thing that I gotta give this movie credit for is, you know, the first one was definitely a metaphor for racism. Pretty, you know, obviously. But I like how this one kind of deals with the idea of gentrification and also xenophobia in a lot of ways, which I suppose is kind of the same in the first to some degree, but I think they tackle it even more strongly here in a way that feels right for this world and reflects, you know, the parallels of that in the real world quite effectively. And so there's definitely some stuff to chew on here, there's no doubt about that, but ultimately I feel this is nowhere near as good or as fresh as that first movie, which is a bit of a bummer, because I really do think they could have had the opportunity to, you know, up this ante a little bit, and they do, and in some regards for sure, but I don't think the movie takes enough risks to really earn it the way that I think they could have, had they made some more dicier narrative decisions in regards to its characters, and I don't mean dicey in a bad way, but I guess more bold. But it's an animated kids movie, so you want to please the kiddies. It's Disney, so there's going to be some things they're going to shy away from. But I do think for what is there, it's an entertaining time. I think all the action set pieces are really fun to watch and never lets up. And maybe it's a little bit too long. You definitely start to feel its length when you get to the third act of the movie. It's like, oh wow, like it felt like it could have been like 5 to 10 minutes shorter. But regardless, I mean, it's a good time. If you are planning on seeing this but don't have like the highest propensity to go and see it, just wait a little bit. You don't want to go into a theater when it's flooded with kids, because I think you should wait a little while just to kind of lay back. You're not missing too much. It's not a rush out to the theater and see it kind of movie. But I do think it's a fun animated family adventure that is a worthy sequel of the first, even if it is nowhere near the heights of the original film. So I'm going to give Zootopia 2 a 6.5 out of 10. I wish I could recommend it more, but there's so much about this movie that kind of irked me, but also a lot of it that I really, really loved. So you know, kind of still positive on it, but a little bit more on the middling end. But even so, you know, that's just me. I know a lot of people are really into this movie, so if you've seen it, let me know if you like it just as much as the first, more than the first, or were you kind of on the same page with me where you found it inferior in a lot of ways to that first movie. And please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more movie reviews like this. The next one is going to be Eternity, the new rom-com from A24 with Miles Teller and Elizabeth Olsen. Really excited to talk to you about that one. I definitely think that one was a bit of a surprise for me. And so we'll get into that and so much more. There's always going to be reviews coming out for this next month because it's just not slowing down at all. And I'm trying to do my best to keep up to par so I can get those out to you. But thank you for tuning in to this review and all the others if you tune into them as well. I always appreciate the support, and I will talk to you guys very soon.